Last month, I think we've kind of revamped the way we do the APC meetings. So they are we have a new agenda format, and the meetings are live streamed as well. So that's to notice to everybody who's online and watching that this meeting is also recorded, but live streamed on the ACRD YouTube page and archived for future use. Just want to start us off by recognizing and appreciating the fact that we're holding the meeting on the territories of the Secwépemc people. And we have an agenda before us, but I would love for one of the members here to volunteer to be the chairperson. If somebody's interested.
Yes, okay. I'll chair it for this meeting. There, yes, okay. Call the meeting to order and carry on. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you. So we do have an agenda before us with the one application on there. If there's any conflicts of interest for this application, then feel free to mention that. But we do have a section for the minutes as well. So the minutes from this meeting will be on the next APC agenda, and then the minutes are also received by the board as well. So a little bit more widespread. No correspondence here, so we can get right into the planning application if everybody's good with that. We do have the Tillies are here tonight with us, so thank you for joining us. And I'll just get right into the introduction here. So this property is at 551 Franklin River Road, the vacant parcel, quite a large parcel, just over 15 hectares, or about 37.8 acres on Franklin River Road. It is vacant. It slopes up away from the road on the high side and then down towards Cox Lake on the low side. And what the property owners are looking to do is apply to rezone that high side of the road to a light industrial M2 district, and the lower western portion of the road to a mixed accommodation commercial district, with the intention to have a campground on that lower piece. The light industrial M2 piece would include space and workshops and outdoor storage for the applicant's business, which is a trucking business, an excavating business kind of thing. Okay, so there we go. So the details are in the report, but the M2 zone allows for a whole mix of industrial uses, and these would be limited by covenant to what their intention is on that site. And then the mixed accommodation section would allow for up to 50 RV sites, or 25 cottages based on that lot size, and those would be rented for short-term rental use, and it would be an internal road network that would be developed, in a water and sewer system to service those sites. So a number of details are spoken to in the report and presented here for you. Just kind of working through those one by one. So if the board moves ahead with it, the staff recommendation would be that the property owners agree to the covenant to limit the industrial uses, and that's what I mentioned before, or mostly limited to the construction and excavation industry, some closed storage and warehousing of their equipment, open storage, of course, for vehicles, and some vehicle repair, and also the wholesale and retail sale of sand and gravel would be associated with that. One of the aspects that they've spent a little time working on, and it's included in the report, is a report from a registered on-site wastewater practitioner. So they have a sewage professional who's been out on site. They've dug some test holes, and they have looked at the capacity to service the campground in particular, as well as the industrial uses. And support from the Ministry of Transportation and Transit. So we have had some initial conversations, I would say, with the ministry, and they will be requiring a commercial access permit for the campground as well as the industrial uses, and then we'll also be looking for support from them to allow access onto the site. They have said their initial take has been positive, and they'll take a closer look once they get the referral from us. Again, that would happen after first reading by the board. We'd also be looking for support from Island Health for the operation of the water system to service the campground. And that would be in compliance with the Drinking Water Protection Act requirements. There's also mentioned in the report about some construction debris that was that is located on the site or was located. So we looking for some guidance from the province on remediation of that if there is a requirement to do so, and that would be done in conjunction with the development of the industrial site. And then finally, the development permit area requirements. So this would be brought into the DPA 3, which is our form and character development permit area, and that requires a detailed site plan at the development stage that would look at things like access and egress from the site, making sure that there's emergency vehicle access within the campground in particular, but also the industrial site, and that any signage requirements are met, landscaping, screening, all that sort of stuff. So with all of that, the staff recommendation at this time is to move forward with first reading of the bylaws. There would be a official community plan amendment that would be associated with this application as well. The Cherry Creek OCP looks at this property as a rural use right now, and this application would be redesignating that to commercial and industrial. And then the OCP amendment would trigger a public hearing process as well. So the next step for this one, if the board proceeds with first reading, would be us organizing a public hearing and advertising that in the community and seeking some input from both the neighbors and the wider community as well. I think I will leave it at that. Did you guys want to add any comments?
Some of the construction debris of concern here looks like it's fallen trees and they came with the property when the guy built the road. And then the concrete, of course, we put that there, but our understanding from Jason Keyvis, the bylaw officer, it was okay, providing we didn't bury it. The intent was to recrush it or crush it back up and then repurpose it at a later date. So that's about all I got to say about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Any comments or questions or thoughts?
Yeah, I was just wondering, what is this ALR land, the little strip that's in there in the drawing on the very back page?
So yeah, there is some hatching there at the outlet of the lake through McFarland Creek. You mean in the south of the property? Yeah.
Yeah, just above the lake, there's on this one I've got anyways, it's got ALR lands and it's like a little railroad strip all the way along all these properties.
Yeah, so the ALR lands piece is separate. That is off the property, and that is kind of a portion of the old potato farm and what's now the shelter farm. There is a right of way though that is, you know, kind of parallels Franklin River Road that goes through the property. I don't know the nature of that, if that was an old water line right away, possibly. It might have been rail as well, but yeah, we can have a look at that. There's nothing there right now. It is vacant.
So my curiosity is on the upper portion of your property, you're talking about putting buildings up there for repairing, storing, whatnot. Are there going to be any precautions put in place to prevent any contamination going down the hill into the lake?
Yes, we'll seek professional input of what would be required to mediate, alleviate any, prevent anything like that happening. So whether it's oil water separators, containment area, concrete or such. But yeah, we'll be seeking advice.
Just a little commentary on that too. So the development permit that would be required ahead of the building permit would look at things like developing the site into a management plan for both stormwater and for potential impacts from working on equipment. In my experience, that's been an engineer plan that would look at an oil grit separator and then containing all of that into one spot. So in the event of an issue, it's all managed in one site. So that would be looked after at the development permit stage and then would be installed at the same time that they build the building once the permit's issued.
So what about the the right of way, is that gonna affect them in the future? Do you know that answer?
I don't, but we can certainly have a look at that. Give some feedback. We can. Looking at the property title right now, though, there is nothing that encumbers that at the site. So it may have been an older right of way that is unbuilt, or maybe there is something in the ground. So we could look into that.
Where are they gonna get the water?
We have a water license that came with the property. So initially it'll be a well pump and treatment to the extent of what our build out will be.
Yeah, and again, in my experience on that, and with the requirements we have here in the report, is that that would need to meet all the island health regulations. So having a private water system that services the campground would need to meet the same standards as any other smaller water system. So there's an application process for that through Island Health. And at the rezoning stage, we just want to make sure that Island Health is aware of it and that you're able to meet those requirements. And then obviously at the development stage of the campground is when you'd be installing the infrastructure, obtaining the permits from the ministry.
Yeah, I was just wondering, now you're gonna put cottages on there, like small cottages. What about the septic systems? Like each one is gonna be individual, or do you have to know how many that you're allowed to have prior to building?
Yeah, to answer that, it's probably gonna be a common septic system. And the preliminary outline for it was designed to accommodate up to 25. So there's been testing done in the ground and the material, and it suffices the standard practice manual for septics. It basically says it'll work. So at the point we decided which way we're gonna go, whether it's 50 RVs, 25 cottages, it'll be built out at that point. Certainty.
Good, thanks.
Are the RVs gonna be permanent lodgings or short term? If you go to an RV system,
Probably seasonal, short term. I wouldn't intend anybody want to live out there in the winter. It's kind of dark and windy.
well, with the lack of housing, many people are now residing in their RVs. So permanent lodgings in RVs is a common thing now. But I suppose that would be worked on throughout the years anyways, right?
I guess in the future, if that became a reality, I suppose we could have permanent RV, providing it fits within the zoning requirements. Or application we're going for.
We certainly have a lot of history with that in the Alberni Valley here. We have other campgrounds that are lived in year round. So the zoning wouldn't necessarily restrict that. I think that the campground zoning intends for short term, either a seasonal use or a short term rental use. So not necessarily designed for permanent residency, but we understand that that is a common use now, and we are in a housing crunch. So we could spend some time looking at that, but right now the zoning does not differentiate between the two.
Because we already have a campground that's closed because of what's going on with the ACRD. Are they gonna have the same issues as what Holly's is having with getting their zoning and all the paperwork in place? Because they've displaced how many campsites for people to live in for how many years now?
33.
I appreciate the question for sure. So, I mean, this would be a little bit different because it is a rezoning application. So this zoning would live with the land. The temporary use permit that has been considered for other campground sites, and including the Hollies, is temporary in nature. So it makes it a little bit more challenging. I think what the applicants have applied for here would be a consistent long-term use that they would intend to develop on the property. So I think that provides the property owner with more assurance on what the approvals will be going forward, recognizing that the only way to change zoning is by bylaw, and it's a little bit more challenging, whereas a temporary use permit is the permit that's issued by the board and can be represented.
Is a bond gonna be required for this development as you required for Holly's?
So the bonding requirements, if there would be any, it would be through the development permit requirements. There's no bonding that's associated with a zoning amendment. So that would be not something we'd be considering at this time, but certainly in the future through the development permit consideration, if there's landscaping, for example, that the OCP speaks to, then there may be bonding required that way.
Thank you.
All right, any more thoughts or questions?
Motion to approve it? Second.
Second by Dennis. Did you want to call the vote, Mr. Chair?
Okay, do a call vote to the motion.
All right, that motion passes. So just so you guys know where this will go, we'll finalize up the bylaws and the staff report. This would go to the first meeting in January at this point. So yeah, but we can work with you all on what the details will look like, and if there's any questions about the information that's in the report, I think now would be a good time to change it. We can work on that in the next couple of weeks, and the next board meeting would be that the second week of January. Awesome. Thank you. No, we will be at the next time with their new system. Yeah, thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments on this one at all? All good? Dennis, are you good with?
No, I'm all good with it, so yeah, guess we call the meeting adjourned, I guess, for now then, I think, unless there's anybody else had a question, but that's all.